Hi guys, I have done some videos for you already on the subject of how to put together your rapport de stage, notably how to do the difficult bit, which is to take your title, make it into decent aims and objectives, and then do the research in the literature, and then possibly having defined a research gap, moving on to do primary research so that you can draw conclusions and recommendations. I'm assuming now that you've done all this and you are about at the point at which you're going to submit this rapport for analysis and to start thinking about your soutenance, or as we say in English, your viva voce, well, very Latin, your viva, as we say in English. So I need to talk to you a bit about that process. So this is the first of perhaps 2 or 3 videos that will help you focus on that at the point at which you get towards the end of the written element. So here we go. How do we look at addressing what you produce? Well, the first thing is in your livret de stagiaire or livret de stage, you will find that we give you, it's almost right at the back if you're a MICAI student, a list of the criteria that we use to judge you by as far as your rapport de stage is concerned. Well, that also gives you the criteria that you can apply to yourself. Once you've finished your draft, look at what we have as a set of criteria, apply it candidly, honestly to your work. Is it spectacularly well presented? Have you really done the peaufinage nécessaire for the quality of your English and expression? Have you really followed the type of things we were talking about in the Intro to Research unit? Have you actually moved systematically between title, aims and objectives, literature review, research gap, methodology, presentation and interpretation of your data, analysis, evaluation, synthesis, conclusions, recommendations? Have you actually nailed that, or have you missed parts out? We are being very open, honest, transparent with you. We're telling you this is the grid, the grille that we are going to use to evaluate you. Look at it. Evaluate yourself as if you were the examiner and see what you think. That should give you some strong hints as to what you might do, what you might, in fact, improve. So that's essentially what we're looking for you to do. Now, when it comes to presenting your report, before you present it, we are going to ask you to put it through compilatio, which is in 2021, our current weapon of choice to double check on the issue of sources and attribution, otherwise called risk of plagiarism. You'd better be sure before you present this to us that you have really properly used a system of referencing, which means that when you cite a source, you say who it is, and in the bibliography, you give us the details so that we can go and find the source to check as well. If you don't, when you drop this onto our compilatio dossier, it will check your work against every piece of work that it knows has been done the worldwide in terms of textbooks or journal articles or previous rapport de stage. You really, really, really need to make sure that you have way below the threshold of 10% elements of plagiarism. For me, frankly, 10%, I don't like the idea. If you plagiarize, it's not acceptable. 10% of plagiarism, 15% of plagiarism, we're just arguing about percentages. It's the principle that counts. So you check your work before you submit it. You drop it on compilatio if you are a master's MICAI student, And we, your teachers, will be given a clear idea of whether this piece of software has found things that you have not referenced. So please, please, please be careful about that. Check it before you submit it to us on compilation. You should have had a date given to you, a target date for your soutenance, your viva, the moment where you defend what you've done in front of normally 2 people. The 2 people will be your prof référent, your tutor, your placement tutor, and 1 other person who may or may not be a specialist in your subject area, but who will know enough about the process of delivering pieces of research, rapport de stage, etc., that they are going to be able to judge the quality of what you've done very effectively. So you can expect 2 people in front of you, and they will have both read your rapport de stage. So you will be inevitably facing questions about what you have done in the soutenance and what you have presented in the rapport de stage. Remember, please, that we ask you not only to submit a digital copy, but to submit 2 hard copies if you're MICAI students. 2 hard copies because frankly, given you're dealing with 40 or 50 or 60 or 70 pages, it's much easier to read it in a hard copy form than it is on a screen form. I mean, for example, you can sit down in a chair and read it so much easier. Now, you are supposed to have that in to the university a full 10 days before your soutenance is due to take place. There is in the MICAI Livret de Stage, there is an instruction saying if you miss that target, you will be charged a percentage for every single day you are late. Don't fall prey to that, please. You really must be aware of when this has to be with us. So you have to work back from, I've been told this is my soutenance date. They need it for a full 10 days beforehand. So I have to send it 4 or 5 days probably before that 10 days before the soutenance date. So it's a full 2 times 7 days on the calendar to give us time to be able to get to it. Okay, it doesn't take that long to read, 2 or 3 hours. But remember, we've probably got 10 or 15 of these. We can't do them all simultaneously. So hit your deadline. If you find yourself in danger of missing your deadline, first thing you should do, get in contact with your prof référent. Tell that person why, and make sure you send them everything that you have done up to the submission date, so we know we've got something from you. It could just be that it is a problem of reliure. You're having it bound and the bindery company has shut down for 2 or 3 days, or it's been sent on the wrong version of post, etc. To prove to us that you're not just bidding for extra time, you must give us evidence. So send us electronically before the due date, i.e. the date of submission, not your date of soutenance. Send us what you have electronically at least. And if you need an explanation of why you appear to be late, we may or may not accept that explanation, but certainly we're more likely to accept it if we have the explanation before rather than after the submission date. So cover your back with this, please. In your rapport de stage, you should, in your livre de stage, you should be well aware towards the end that we give you all the grille that we use for analyzing your rapport and your soutenance. Be aware of those. That's how we're going to look at it. That's how we're going to mark it. Measure yourself against those things. Prepare for your soutenance, knowing what it is that we are looking for. So generally, as far as the rapport is concerned, yes, we're looking for presentation quality, but it should be excellent. We should be able to just assume excellent presentation is the norm. You should know how to use a referencing system properly. You should know how to present things properly, to label figures. You should know that you should be using tools like spell check and Grammarly, and you should be reading your work aloud to try and find errors in punctuation, in expression, in repetition, in all of those things. That we take for granted. If you don't do that, it's really disappointing, because we know from the evidence of your performance, you can do that. You just didn't manage to do it this time. So please, please, please be careful about that. We are looking for consistency. Now, go back to what I said to you in Intro to Research. You've got a title, or you've got your idea that's come out of your memoir for something you want to focus your research upon. Well, it could be a title or whatever it happens to be. But we're looking to see how you convert the title into a set of aims and objectives. How you look at those aims and objectives in terms of the literature that's already available to you. What do we already know? So subtracting one, what you want to find out, from what you know, gives you a research gap. Those are the things you need to find out. So how are you going to find those pieces of information? We call that a methodology. What is it you need? Where is it? Who's got it? What form is it in? How can I best get at that information? We're looking for you to have a consistency of that, so that when you present your research data, when you interpret it, you analyze it, you evaluate it, and you begin to draw conclusions, and upon those to make recommendations, we can be sure that it's reliable. We can trust those. So if I were your boss, I would be thinking, can I trust this piece of information? Does it have sufficient backing in the process that you've used for me to be able to trust your recommendations, especially if they're going to take me a lot of time and cost me a lot of money to put into practice? This isn't just a matter of getting something done for us. It's a matter of learning, and from that learning, recommending changes that your company can make that in fact will generate some benefit for them in terms of quality of performance, in terms of quantity of production, in terms of whatever you're measuring. This, my friends, is where we see you. We see your quality. We see what you add to the sum total of what is known in the literature and known in the company. You are adding something extra, something more from which the company can learn and from which it can perform better. And at the end of the line, performing better means more profit, survival, growth. That's where we see what we call in English your master's worthiness. That's what we're looking for at the end of it. Are we confident that you have been able to look at something, add something to the sum total of knowledge such that things can improve, in this case, for your employer company? So your conclusions are one thing in your rapport, but your recommendations are another. Don't stint, don't stop short on these recommendations. We really need to know what the company should do and why, how they should do it, who should do it, how much it might cost, how much benefit, how much added value you think the company will generate as a result. It may be that you are even writing a mission for next year's stagiaire. I don't know, but whatever it is, this last part above all is where we see you. And that's what we're looking for from your rapport. And we will be looking evidently to test that with your soutenance. So that's the end of this bit. Now I need to really get on to your soutenance itself, what the format of it is, what we are looking for, and what a good soutenance feels like for an examiner. Okay, thank you very much for now.